Markus, what was the primary reason for Swisscom's movement of the mainframe workload?
Actually, the main reason, so to keep it short and simple, cost savings.
How much will you save?
I would say around 50 to 60% of our yearly OPEX spendings.
Yeah.
So why did you have the courage to undertake such a project as this?
At Swisscom, we are a leading telco company. We are inventing things, so you cannot invent without taking risks.
Even after the proof of concept, we know there were still skeptics within the organization. How did you win those guys over?
Actually, when you go to let's say, a crew which is operating and engineering the mainframe over 20 years, 30 years, and you go into this team, into this department, say, hey, we do something completely new. The first reaction you get, oh, it's not possible. So therefore, it's a change project, and you need a key person out of this group which is convinced that what we are planning to do is doable. And we had this person.
You said in your comment, the only way you're going to innovate is to move to an environment where you can do that more readily. And certainly open source and the cloud are those places. Would you agree with that?
So it's much easier to get younger people attracted to this kind of technology and environment. It's very important to have a good mix of experienced people and also younger, new people who would like to work in such an environment.
So maybe you can talk us a little bit through the importance of those applications to your business still.
They are critical applications which have to be up and running 7 days, 24 hours. And if they're not running, we cannot build a customer. We cannot make changes. We cannot migrate the customer to another service.
Yeah, we have an expression, just enough mainframe and no more.
Yeah.
And Mark says, and in all other ways, take advantage of open source to implement the same capability without getting caught in the proprietary nature of
it helps you. It helps you over the long haul address some of the skills issues as well, because you put your application into an environment that has got access to a greater talent pool. One of the things that we often encounter when we're speaking to other organizations is this notion that somehow their mainframe environment is so complex. 30, 40 years of complexity, you can't possibly understand what's involved to migrate that. I wonder if you can speak to the complexity of your environment a little bit, the source subsystems and so on, just to give folks an understanding of what you moved from.
I mean, as I mentioned before, we're running mainframe for over 30 years. So telco, which is known, was implemented 30 years ago. And we used a lot of IBM technologies, third-party technologies in our whole environment. So I think as a telco and ICT provider, we had a quite complex environment. From my point of view, every customer after us will have a much smoother way to migrate it because we had a huge complex environment.
Interesting question. Knowing what you know now and the experience we've both had, if we did it again, how long do you think it would take?
I'm a very optimistic person. I would say half the time, and then a little bit longer, but certainly not 2 years. Certainly, let's say 1 year, one and a half.
One of the questions that we're often asked is, how does it perform from your experience?
It performs actually quite well. I would say more or less the same than it did before, but we have room for improvement.
Right. And what level of compute capacity from your cloud did you dedicate to it?
We have 8 cores dedicated, but we use only 4 of them.
Wow.
And that was to support what was 2,000 to 2,500 installed mainframe MIPS with the processing on 4 cores.
On 4 cores, yes.
Okay.
What were the biggest surprises you came across in this project?
I would say the time you need to convince the involved people that it really works. That was one of the, we expected it, but it needs really time and also management attention as well.
I think the testing and the testing management was critical in convincing the people.
Yeah, of course, you need the right person at the right place.
Yes.
With, I would say, with a good common sense to decide and to convince people, hey, it will work.
Yeah.
I would bet you're in a better place for testing application changes moving forward than you were before this.
2 years
because
ago.
you've now seen,
Yeah.
you see how everything is connected and exactly what it does.
Exactly.
Before it just ran, so it's easy to lose track.
Yeah.
It's easy to track.
This is obviously a world's first, which sort of means you have some unique experience now. Is there any other advice you would give folks that are contemplating such a move?
My advice from my experience is really that you will face a cultural change project. And therefore, and you're dealing with people, with good people. So you really have to take the time, especially also from the management, to be with these people, to go the journey together. So my advice is reserve enough time and go on the journey together. And don't get too nervous when the know-how is not available for every application.
Yeah.